You need a cat.
You have to hold it down while you talk.
Damien, we can't hear you. What did you say?
We're live.
Thank you. So I'm starting at 7 p.m. Welcome to Bogota Board of Education Reorganization Meeting virtually. We're held right now on Tuesday, January 5th, 2021 at 7 p.m. Please rise for the flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Open public meeting announcement. The New Jersey Open Public Meeting Law was enacted to ensure the right of the public to have advance notice of and to attend the meetings of public bodies at which any business affecting their interest is discussed or acted upon. In accordance with the provisions of the Act, the Bogota Board of Education has caused notice of this meeting to be published by having the date, time, and place thereof posted in the Bogota Borough Hall, communicated by letter to the record, filed with the clerk of the Borough of Bogota, and posted on the Bogota Board of Education website. The next is the results of the election, annual school election, November 3rd, 2020. For 3-year term, John Ortega, 1,539 mail-in, 201 provisional, the total of 1,740 votes. Jose Chavez, 1,544 mail-in, 171 provisional, total of 1,715 votes. Mr. Racket, mail-in 1,413, provisional 133, the total of 1,546. Sandra Ospina, 1,002 mail-in, 114 provisional, total of 1,116 votes. Maureen Miller, mail-in 884, provisional 46, total of 930 votes. Sabrina Kearns, mail-in 813, 34 provisional, and a total of 847. Kristen Weber, mail-in 708, provisional 26, and a total of 734 votes. There are 38 mail-in write-ins, and also we had another 1-year term. The results for that is Francisco Miranda, mail-in 1,828, provisional 200, the total of 2,028 votes. Trina Rivera Olivo, 1,169 mail-in, provisional 120, and a total of 1,289 votes. The number of the polling places were 3, District 1 and 6 at Bogota Rec Center, 162 West Main Street. District 2 and 3 was at Bogota High School Gymnasium, 200 Littleton Place. District 4 and 5 at Eroy Bixby Elementary School at Maplewood Fisher Avenues. All polling places were open at 6 a.m. and closed at 8 p.m. So according to the election results, Mr. John Ortega, Mr. Jose Chavez, and Ms. Bisi Racket were elected for 3-year term, and Mr. Frank Miranda was elected for 1-year term. Congratulations to all newly elected board members.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Our office received the approval of background criminal history check for all 4 newly elected board members. Now it's time to have the oath of office. This year, as you know, we're having a different circumstances, so we can still have this at the same time, 4 of you guys. I can read and you can follow me, repeat after me. If you're ready. Mr. Chavez, Mr. Miranda, Mr. Ortega, and Ms. Brackett.
We're ready.
Okay.
Yes, please unmute yourselves. The four newly elected board members should unmute themselves.
I say your name, do solemnly swear or affirm
I, B.C. Rocket, do
The Chavez do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the
that I
Constitution
will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same
and that I will bear true
and that I
faith
will bear true faith and allegiance to the same,
and to the governments established in the United States and this state
and to the government
and to the governments established in the United States and this state,
under authority of the people.
under the
on
authority of the
the
people.
authority of the people.
So help me God.
So help me God.
I, please say your name, do solemnly swear or affirm
I, B.C. Rocket,
I, Jose Chavez, do solemnly swear or affirm
that I possess the qualification prescribed by law
that I
that I possess the qualifications prescribed by law
for the office of member of a Board of Education
for the office of member of a Board of Education,
the office of member of the Board of Education,
and that I am not disqualified as a voter pursuant to RS 19-4-1
and that I
and
am
that
not qualified
not disqualified to a voter pursuant to RS 19-4-1,
nor disqualified due to conviction of a crime or offense listed in NJSA 18A-12-1
nor disqualified to the conviction of a crime or offense listed on NJSA 18A 12-1,
and that I will faithfully, impartially, and justly perform all the duties of that office according to the best of my ability.
and that I will faithfully,
and that I will faithfully, impartially, justly perform all the duties of that office according to the best of my ability. So help me God.
So help me God.
so help me God.
Thank you very much, and
help me
congratulations
God.
again. Welcome on board.
Thank you. Thank you.
Congratulations to all.
The next is the roll call. Mrs. Alvarez,
Present.
Mr. Chavez,
Good.
Mrs. Coles,
Present.
Mrs. Lewis,
Here.
Mr. Miranda, Mr. Miranda, I couldn't hear you. We see you. Ms. Montgomery,
Present.
Mr. Ortega,
Present.
Ms. Rucker,
Present.
Mrs. Van Buren.
Present.
We have the full board and quorum. We also have Mr. Damian Kennedy, Superintendent of the Schools, Mrs. Natanya Simon, the Board Counsel, myself as Mr. Evsel, Business Administrator Board Secretary, and Ms. Elizabeth Ruiz, Assistant Board Secretary. So the next is according to the NJSA 18A 12-24-1 and our bylaws 0142, the board member code of ethics. A school board member shall abide by the following code of ethics for school board members. A, I will uphold and enforce all laws, rules, and regulations of the State Board of Education and court orders pertaining to schools. Desired changes shall be brought about only through legal and ethical procedures. B, I will make decisions in terms of the educational welfare of children and will seek to develop and maintain public schools that meet the individual needs of all children, regardless of their ability, race, creed, sex, or social standing. C, I will confine my board action to policymaking, planning, appraisal, and I will help to frame policies and plans only after the board has consulted those who will be affected by them. D, I will carry out my responsibility not to administer the schools, but together with my fellow board members to see that they are well run. E, I will recognize that authority rests with the Board of Education and will make no personal promises nor take any private action that might compromise to the board. F, I will refuse to surrender my independent judgment to special interest or partisan political groups or to use the schools for personal gain or for the gain of friends. G, I will hold confidential all matters pertaining to the schools which, if disclosed, would needlessly injure individuals or the schools. In all other matters, I will provide accurate information and in concert with my fellow board members, interpret to the staff the aspirations of the community for its school. H, I will vote to appoint the best qualified personnel available after consideration of recommendation of the Chief Administrative Officer. I will support and protect school personnel in proper performance of their duties. J, I will refer all complaints to the Chief Administrative Officer and will act on the complaints at public meetings only after failure of an administrative solution. So I need a motion.
So moved, Kathy.
Mrs. Van Bren,
Second.
Mrs. Cole, second. Everybody in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? Motion carried. According to the New Jersey Administrative Code 6A 32-3 and 2 and our bylaws 0142, you need to sign the acknowledgement of this received by all members. Please sign it and return to me. It should be in your package. If you have any questions, please contact me. And the next is the election of the officers.
Can everyone hear me?
Now we can.
Okay.
Yeah, now we can.
I'm not sure what's going on. It's on mute the whole time. Okay.
I just would like to remind to our veteran board members and newly elected board members for the election of the officers, according to our bylaws, any member may place a member's name in nomination. A second is not required. Election for each office will be conducted by a vote when the nominations for that office are closed, so that the candidate receiving a majority vote of the members of the board present will be elected to the office. So the floor is now open to receive the nominations for the office of the president of the Bogota Board of Education.
I nominate
Amanda Montgomery.
Sorry, there are echoes, but I kind of heard Ms. Amanda Montgomery was nominated. Who nominated?
I nominated Amanda. Eileen.
Eileen. Any other nominations?
I would like to nominate Kathy Van Buren.
I second that.
By Mr. Ortega or Mr. Chavez?
I second it.
I'm sorry for the confusion. Mrs. Van Buren nominated by who?
John Ortega.
Okay. Thank you very much. Any other nominations, please? So hearing no additional nominations, the floor is now open for a motion to close the nomination. Anyone move to nomination to be closed?
So moved, Kathy.
Mrs. Van Buren moved. Mrs. Coles seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? Thank you very much. So another reminder, according to our bylaws 0152 board officers, voting shall take place by verbal roll call. Vote after nomination are closed, which we closed. When more than one person has been nominated, the board will vote on candidates in the order which they were nominated. So for the nominee, for Mrs. Montgomery, I will have a roll call. After I say your name, please vote for accordingly. So for the Mrs. Montgomery, Mrs. Alvarez,
No.
Mr. Chavez,
No.
Mrs. Coles,
Yes.
Mrs. Lewis,
Yes.
Mr. Miranda,
No.
Miss Montgomery,
Yes.
Mr. Ortega,
No.
Mrs. Rackett,
No.
Mrs. Van Buren.
No.
So for the second nomination, Mrs. Van Buren, I'm having the roll call. Mrs. Alvarez,
Yes.
Mr. Chavez,
Yes.
Mrs. Coles,
No.
Mrs. Lewis,
No.
Mr. Miranda,
Yes.
Miss Montgomery,
No.
Mr. Ortega,
Yes.
Mrs. Rackett,
Yes.
Mrs. Van Buren.
Yes.
We have the majority vote for Mrs. Van Buren. So Mrs. Van Buren is hereby elected as president of the Bogota Board of Education. Newly elected president assumes the chair. I'm passing the gavel to you, Mrs. Van Buren.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. I'm honored to be appointed, and I will do my very best to serve the district and all of us to work together and move forward. I'd now like to move on to the election of vice president for the Board of Education. Likewise, as we just did with the president's office, if I have a nomination for the office of vice president, please.
I would like to nominate Jose Chavez.
Who was that? Frank?
Second.
Yes.
Thank you. Are there any other nominations from the floor? All right, hearing no other nominations, I have a motion to close the office of vice president.
So moved.
Who was that? Amanda? Okay. And a second?
Lisa?
Okay. All right, and now if we could move on, I guess, Urban, we can just take a vote in favor to move that motion. If I may have a motion to move the appointment of the election of Jose Chavez as vice president of the board. May I have a motion, please?
Motion.
Who was that again? I'm sorry.
That was Miranda.
Okay. And a second, please?
Second.
You don't need a motion. We need to call the roll on the election that we did for president.
Okay, just getting a second motion. Irfan, would you call the roll, please?
Thank you.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Nathaniel.
For the nomination of Mr. Jose Chavez, I'm
Yes,
having
please.
the roll call. Mrs. Alvarez,
Yes.
Mr. Chavez,
Yes.
Mrs. Coles,
Yes.
Mrs. Lewis,
Yes.
Mr. Miranda,
Yes.
Ms. Montgomery,
Yes.
Mr. Ortega,
Yes.
Mrs. Rack,
Yes.
Mrs. Wenburn.
Yes.
Mr. Jose Chavez is hereby elected as Vice President of the Bogota Board of Education.
Congratulations, Jose.
Thank you, everyone.
Look forward to working with you.
And be straightforward with everyone. Thank you so much.
All right, if we can move on now to the action items. Just so everyone is aware of how we're doing, since there's quite a few new board members this evening. Congratulations to the 4 of you. Welcome to the board. I look forward to working as a team with everyone. We'll go through the action items. There'll be a motion and a second. We will then have discussion, and then we will vote on those items. So we will, excuse me, we'll be voting on action items will be 1/15/2101 through 1/15/2110. Have a motion, please?
Kathy, it's 1/5, not 15.
Oh, sorry, I'm jumping again. Thank you. 1/5/2101 to 1/5/2110. Thank you, Nathaniel. May I have a motion, please?
Motion, Kathy.
Are you getting that, Irfan?
Moved by Mrs. Coles and seconded by
Second, please?
Second, Eileen.
Mrs. Lewis.
All right, now on to discussion. Does anyone have any questions or discussion on any of these items? And I would like to-
Just,
Yes, yes.
Lisa, we don't
Sound-
have to put that before right now, do we, Nathania?
We don't have to do what?
We don't have to put that, we're going remote on these meetings, right? January and February? It's just the date?
Oh,
What is the question? I'm sorry.
For the meetings. You don't have to have that remote, right? January's meetings and February?
We should let the public know how we're conducting meetings to the extent known, yes.
should we amend that motion to include that they may be remote meetings? Right now, it says they're held in the high school. I see what Lisa's saying.
Yes, what other boards have been doing is making a decision on at least a certain number of meetings that they feel they will continue to do either hybrid or remote. And then it could be reviewed again, you know, so a lot of, like I was at other boards, they've gone through like April. They feel by then maybe go back to live meetings. So I don't know if you want to do that, Kathy, however you want, but you should let the public know what the January, February meetings are.
Definitely, I agree. All right, well, could I have a motion perhaps to amend 1/5/2102 to specify that the January, February, March, and April, if you choose, be remote meetings at this point unless otherwise notified?
Motion, Kathy, Lisa?
Second.
Okay, Lisa and Jose, is that about that? Okay. All right, so we're voting on that as amended. Also, if on number, on 10, I'd be happy to still stay as the delegate. I'm still on the Bergen County School Board anyway, so I'll be there anyway. But if anybody else would like either of those positions, Lisa, you've been alternate. I don't know if you would like to continue that or if someone else would like that.
Yeah, I don't care, Kathy, that's fine. I'll be alternate.
Okay, is everybody okay with that?
Yes.
Okay, great.
Just to clarify, Ms. Van Buren, so the delegate and the alternate will be for both?
Yes, please.
I mean, the delegate will be you and the alternate will be Mrs.
Lisa.
Lisa.
Yes.
Okay.
All right, does anybody have any questions on any of the other items? All right, if not, we have a motion and a second. Arfin, could you call the roll, please?
Yes. Mrs. Alvarez,
Yes.
Just so all the new board members know, you're voting yes or no at this point on those resolutions. If you agree with all of them and how it's been set forth, you're voting yes. If that makes sense.
Mrs. Coles,
Yes.
Mrs. Lewis, sorry, Mrs. Lewis,
Yes. Sorry, wasn't unmuting.
thank you. Mr. Miranda,
Yes.
Ms. Montgomery,
Yes.
Mr. Ortega,
Yes.
Ms. Rackett,
Yes.
Mr. Chavez,
Yes.
Mrs. Van Buren.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you. Moving on to old business. Does anyone have any questions or concerns or discussion on old business?
I do.
Yes.
Are we still looking at January 19th as a start date, Mr. Kennedy, to go back?
That is the plan right now. We have a meeting with the health department on Monday, but our goal is to be back on the 19th. So unless the health department tells me something different, that's where we're going.
Anyone else? All right, I had a question at the last meeting in discussion of the St. Joe's, rental of St. Joe's. We discussed the possibility of having an early termination clause put into the contract. Was that able to be included or worked into that?
They're working on it now still. They haven't they're still working with the Archdiocese. We haven't got it completed because of the holiday.
All righty. Just a concern, I know we also approved a resolution last month, number 39, which allocated approximately $8,000 for the architect to do all the specs. And then when I questioned how the renovations would be paid, you mentioned it was through the pre-K grant. But is that enough money? Seriously, I know that building's in pretty bad shape. I mean, has the technology issue been looked at and handicapped accessible and?
We did do a technology audit, so technology will have to be, but the money that was set aside for that was specifically for the we have to do some construction to make classrooms to meet code for preschool. So that's why that's there.
All right, but and all of that money will come from
the
pre-K
construction,
grant?
for anything to do with preschool is paid through the preschool grant. So the construction of those rooms, making them the proper size is all paid for by the preschool grant.
All right, but you had mentioned, I think, that there was other renovations that needed to be done as well in the building. I don't know if it was the cafeteria or the gym or something. Where would that money come from?
Well, that would come out of our general fund, but I'm not aware of any other major projects that have to be done in there right now, so.
Oh, okay. All right, last question.
From our walkthrough of the building, it was in pretty good condition for the most part.
Oh, okay. I haven't.
Technology-wise, we're looking at E-rate to help with some of those, to get it up to standard of what we have.
Okay. And last question, where will the funding come from for, especially if there's older grades in there, if it's not all pre-K, which is what I understood, there might be other grades in there to use the space. If we do that, what about the funding, say, for administration, principal, secretary, nurse, custodians?
We're in the process of looking into those and how we're going to fund that. But the idea is if we have preschool in there, that we will be able to use some money to pay for preschool to park someone there, and then some out of the general fund to work with the other classes.
Okay. And last question, kind of related, we bought the temple. We're spending all this money, over $1.2 million on St. Joe's, and we're making capital improvements in their building. What are we doing with the temple? That's a lot of money going towards St. Joe's. They're getting the good end of the deal with the capital improvements we're going to do. What are we doing?
with the temple, we have two different options. We looked at a career technical building to try to keep students in district. St. Joe's is needed because we're running out of space. We're at capacity now. So no matter what, we're going to either get trailers or we're going to be in St. Joe's. We're really at capacity. So this is helping us survive. And then we're going to have to talk about building and finding more classroom space. So the temple, we're looking at a couple of different things. We're still going through that process, but it's career technical. Maybe we could bring a special ed program back, but we're looking at two different things. But we definitely want to get more career technical classrooms going. That building would be perfect for it. Maybe we get some out of district tuition students to help fund it. We're looking at different grants to help fund it. So we're looking at a lot of different avenues.
Okay, all right. I'm just concerned. I mean, I'm trusting obviously what you're telling us, that we can go forward with it. I'm just very concerned that we don't overextend. You know, we talked about a referendum too, and now we've got a building that needs fixing and we're renting other space, and I'm just concerned. But if you're assuring us that the funding is there, then I know we need the space. Yeah.
We're budgeted for the temple. That was out of capital reserve.
Right.
We have to budget for St. Joseph's, but again, space has been a problem for the last couple of years. We recognize that. We wanted to go off a referendum a year ago, but the pandemic has set us back. So, I mean, at the end of the day, we need more space. We're tight across all three buildings. The Riverfront Club, we're expecting some kids from that. So, you know, we've been fortunate with the pandemic that, you know, we've been in and out, and not all parents are sending their kids. But come September, St. Joe's is going to be, you know, a gift that we needed, because if not, we were going to be parking trailers in schoolyards to make sure we have enough space for everybody.
Well, that was my only concern, is that if we can move forward on the referendum or the temple, would it be more cost effective to rent trailers for a year or two rather than spending 1.2 plus renovations?
Well, I think if I may say something, I think it's important for us. I mean, as we all know, we live in Bogota and real estate is very limited, and to have the opportunity of having a building across the street available to us, and we purchased it, and we've already purchased it. It's now a matter of moving forward. But not only will it give us more opportunity and it'll give us space if we need to find the classroom space, it's also a potential moneymaker for us. Like we can potentially have a special education program come in. And, you know, we're sending our kids out. Why not bring some kids in here and see some tuition money on that, and also see some tuition money on the technical school? I mean, why should we send our kids to Bergen Tech when we can have those programs in-house and we can provide that service and then make the money and see the money, and then, you know, worst case, if it doesn't work out, we can always sell the property and that's money in our pocket as well. So I don't see it as a loss in any way. I think it's putting ourselves in a very good position for having the buildings down on Portland Road. They're just finishing up. They're going to start filling up. And I think it's important for us to get ahead of the game, which I applaud Mr. Kennedy and Mr. Efsel for doing that. And so I don't necessarily think we're overextending ourselves. I think we're right on par to what we've discussed with our auditor. So I'm not as
Can I say something? I agree with Amanda and the fact that we're moving forward. But as new board members, we definitely would like to see where the funding is coming from and obviously what the budget is.
Just to give you an idea, Irfan, we looked at trailers. How much were they for a year to rent?
One for Steen and one for Big Speed annually over $90,000. This doesn't include the power connection or any IT, PA, phone-related connections. So it will be over $100,000.
That was like $100,000 a year, and that was just for 2 classrooms?
2 classrooms each building, yep.
So now we're getting 10 classrooms and a gym and a cafeteria for 200 and what's the first year numbers?
205, I think.
So we're getting a whole building for the most part with a gym and a cafeteria We can house 2 preschool classrooms that are going to help pay the rent, and then have 8 other classrooms. Trailers would cost us $100,000 for 2 of them, and we'd park them in our playground, which would just be, you know, our in Bixby, that's already limited space.
All right, well, I agree that the price St. Joe's is giving us is a great price. I'm going back to, I think we need the early termination clause. It's the 5-year commitment that makes me a little apprehensive.
And
That's
just
all.
to Jose's point about the finances and stuff, once now you guys are all here, you guys are privy to all of that information. And if you have any questions, you can always ask Kathy. It's have access to all of that information. So please don't think, I mean, you're like 5 minutes in, so you guys will be given all the information. I don't expect you to absorb it overnight, but you know, and I think honestly,
I want to make sure we see it.
You'll be very impressed by the work. So I think everybody's done a really good job. So.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Now, Kathy, question. We already signed for the St. Joe's, correct? We all voted on that last year?
I'm sorry, it's breaking up terribly, Lisa.
I said we already signed on St. Joe's already.
Yes, we agreed. Yes, we agreed to the lease in December, but it was still, that was where I started. I believe to protect ourselves, we should have an early termination clause, and that's my main concern. Because then if indeed we need the building for 5 years full, we aren't going to continue the payment.
As I indicated to you last week with regards to that issue, Kathy, we my office is negotiating finalizing that lease for the benefit of the board. And we will try to get that. But one of the reasons that they were willing to give us some of the other good terms of the lease was because it's not a year-to-year lease. By early termination, really, then they're only guaranteed whatever that time period is. And I don't know if they're going to then want other terms. So I will double check on it. I know that the holidays we put everybody was away. It was challenging to try to get this. I will double check tomorrow, and I'll get back to Mr. Kennedy and Mr. Epstein to let them know what where we are with that. But I want the board to know it's a 5-year lease. And from every indication that the administration has, correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Kennedy, we don't see that we would be able to terminate this on less than 5 years, because if the kids are still here and we need the space, where are we going to put them? And if we don't do the referendum to build out, then we're still going to need that space. And 5 years goes by in the blink of an eye. So I don't know if that would be a deal breaker, but I just want the board to be aware of what we're talking about, that it's a 5-year lease with a 6-month notification versus almost like year to year. And I don't know if they're going to agree to that.
What's the 6-month notification?
This is Frank Miranda. If I can give my 2 cents, can everyone hear me?
Yes.
So maybe not an early termination clause, but maybe a good guy clause, as most very utilized in real estate commercial use, where we can all decide if we do need to bail out. There's a specific time frame of early notice plus some additional payment to make the archdiocese whole, and we're not just going to leave them stranded. So I would recommend to try to negotiate a good guy clause, as I know it best.
I have a question.
I think we are looking at something like that, but I appreciate your input because that's very helpful.
Okay. BC, you had a question?
But is there an expectation of a decrease in student in the student body? To Nathaniel's point, 5 years is a short span of time, and if there isn't a trend and or expectation of the student body decreasing, it doesn't feel like the 5 years would present an issue. If we're saying that the growth is happening or projected to happen, that would put us at further out than today. and closer to 4.5 years. 4.5 years isn't a lot of time. That's basically one matriculation through the high school.
I mean, I think also what we're talking about too is that, we have the preschool. So that, there's a lot of things that we can do. We don't get another student right now. We are pretty filled to capacity without another student coming into our district. The 5 years on that, we could do a couple different things. They can also sell the building in 2 years if they want. They had to give us a certain amount of time too, but I don't foresee us, even if a referendum passes, we're years away from ever putting kids in a classroom. So I think we're going to need that time. And it gives us time that we're not going to be like, what are we going to do now? So again, we can also look at putting more preschool classrooms in there if we have to, and the preschool will pay for it if they allow us to continue to build off of it. So I think it's something that, we can ask about it, but I don't want to have to pay more money yearly because we might want to get out of it at a certain point in time. We're not talking, we're getting a pretty good deal that no matter what, we can do something with that building. We can make that into something that we can use that.
Mr. Kennedy, you're absolutely right. I think that there's two arguments on the table that can transpire either way, as any commercial use, educational use. I'm basically speaking off the cuff because I have not read the contractual agreement. I would enjoy it if someone mailed it to me, emailed it to me. But I will say this: negotiations are normally debunked because of maybe yes, an early termination clause, but as I mentioned, a good guy clause. We could also do, and I don't know if you've actually done this, a first rights of refusal clause. So if the building does go up for sale, we have the first opportunity to decide, and St. Joe should give us the right, because quite frankly, and I don't mean to sound arrogant, but what is going to happen with that building today? We are the best viable option for any proper negotiation to have, and the need for it. I also would like to understand, whether or not the growth in our educational system and pupil per child, does it derive from the pre-K? I understand that as more classes are developed in pre-K, more funding comes along, right? So, but obviously, is Bogota going to continue to grow so much? So we just have to look at where those classroom sizes are actually growing. As for a contract, early, as I said, not an early termination, but a good guy clause. It just sounds better. It's framed better, and it's making them whole if we have to leave, if we do not get that growth 3 years from now. And then the other opportunity would be a first right to refusal. We will, if the building comes up for sale, or in the borough of Bogota, the taxpayer should have the first right to decide whether that building is theirs, whether they want to purchase it, because our classroom sizes are exploding.
I am almost positive we do have the first crack at it if they do want to sell it or they do get a buyer.
Damien, how much notice do they have to give us if they choose to sell?
I got to go back and look, but I made it pretty clear that we would need that we would have to make it like a full year. That we wouldn't be able to do it. Like they couldn't tell us in April. That it would have to be much longer time because we would need time to make a plan.
Okay, thank you.
But to Mr. Miranda's point, there aren't too many people that can go into that building.
I'm sure.
All right. Anything else on old business? If not, if we move on to new business. Anybody have anything under new business?
Mrs. Van Buren, I have 3 resolutions that I would like to propose and have amended the agenda to move. One which relates to the issuance of RFP for board attorney. And I would like to put that on, have the agenda amended for, if there could be a motion in a second.
I'm sorry, Frank, you're breaking up so terribly.
Listen, I've been dealing with that the entire time. I think we're late. I can tell by the way things are being heard. How can I share the resolution? Because I've never used this type of, I'm an Apple guy, and it looks like it. So I can email everyone so they can open it up in their emails. What I was saying, I'll read is I would like to present for the agenda to be amended, 3 resolutions, so that it can be placed and moved if any of the board members support.
I didn't hear much of that. It was kind of breaking up.
I can't understand anything that Frank is saying. I'm so sorry. If anyone else is understanding him, Irfan, can you understand the issue?
Kathy, I didn't understand anything.
I only hear an RFP, but I didn't hear anything else.
Me either.
I think what I heard.
Okay.
Can you hear me, Kathy?
Can everyone hear me well better now?
Okay, because I thought what he was asking, Kathy, is if he could amend the agenda to add 3 resolutions.
Frank,
I'm not on mute and everyone sounds muffled. Can you hear me?
it's terrible. Frank, can you hear me? This is not good.
If everyone muted and just Mr. Miranda talks, maybe it will help.
Kathy,
Let's try.
Okay.
Can everyone hear me now? Can everyone hear me? A thumbs up?
I can hear better.
I'm not on mute.
Frank, turn off your video. Maybe that'll help your voice.
All right. Can everyone hear me now? Thumbs up?
A little bit.
Yeah.
All right. I will like, and I apologize. I hear everyone muffled as well. I'm not sure what's going on, but I would like to propose 3 resolutions as it pertains to the issuance of RFP for board attorney, and I would like to have it moved, and if I can get a motion in a second to amend the agenda.
Well, the superintendent is the one who places resolutions on the agenda. I guess we need to know where you're aiming, Frank.
As I said, it relates to the issuance of RFP for board of attorney, and I would like it, if any other member can support me, I would like to put the resolutions for.
I motion it.
I second.
But what is it for? Can we get an explanation as to what it's for?
Looks like he's having technical difficulties. I don't know what's wrong.
Perhaps this could be something that, Frank, you could submit to the superintendent for inclusion on the January 12th meeting. That way we all have it in writing. It's a little bit neater. And the community would have it in writing as well. I'm sure the community is getting the same garbled conversation.
don't see Frank on here anymore. Is he on here?
I don't see him either.
No, he's not.
What do we propose here?
Well, since we don't know what he wants to amend, I don't think we really can go forward on it.
I think we should wait for him. Give him 2 seconds. He should be getting back on the.
Ask the public to bear with us for a few minutes while we try to get through this technical difficulties here. Frank, is it possible for you to text him and ask him? I mean, Jose, is it possible for you to text Frank and ask him where he is?
Absolutely. I'm on the phone right now. I'm trying to contact them. Give me a second.
Thank you. I don't quite know how long we can just sit and wait. I think we need to keep moving the meeting.
I think so, Kathy. I mean, can we put it on for next meeting?
That would be my recommendation, is that we get in writing, get from him what he would like to do in writing. So we can see clearly and specifically what it is.
He's trying to log on. So unfortunately, he has not been able to get in there, but he's trying. I don't know if you guys want to wait another minute or two and to see if it's okay.
Okay, a minute or two, but I think then we need to move on.
Are you guys in the same office together? It looks like it.
No, I'm in my office in New York.
Okay.
I don't know about that.
I'm getting text that the sound is terrible on the meeting.
SMI, I'm sorry, I stopped the.
I'm getting the same from other people saying that they can barely hear us. So I don't know if it's the whole thing or.
Everybody watching Netflix, they need to turn off Netflix so we can have our meeting.
Maybe there's too many people on this thing. I don't know.
No, there's only 33.
No, but today, ever since we started the.
All right, I would propose that we move on and finish up what we're doing. I don't think it's fair to the public that we start adding referendum resolutions that we can't even understand. Do I have an agreement on that matter?
I agree, Kathy.
Okay, then I'll take us to, we were up to new business. Did anyone have anything under new business? Anything else under new business? If not, Damien, we had discussed having an executive session.
I would have, I could send out a calendar invite right now, and then you would just have to read that sunshine law and say why we're going into executive. I could set that up now.
Okay, will that take long?
Kathy, are we going to open to the public before we go into closed?
Would you prefer that? Would you recommend that?
Yeah, I think.
Okay. Okay, that's fine, because I don't believe we would be taking any action afterwards. So could I have a motion for a hearing of public on citizens' remarks, please?
Motion, Kathy?
Thank you, Lisa. May I have a second?
Second.
DC, was that you?
Yes.
Thank you. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any opposed? All right. So at this time, if there's anyone from the public that has a question, hopefully we can have some clear conversation here. Please just state your name and address for the record.
Mr. Stofan?
I have Frank on speaker, and
Don
he still
Stofan.
hasn't been able to fix it.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, will we have Ms. Stofan on speaker, Mr. Kennedy?
Yes.
Don Stofan, 316 second place. The sound is absolutely horrendous.
I know.
You can't understand a word.
We apologize for that, but everyone's in different places with different internet, so unfortunately, we might have some problems like that once in a while.
Yes, I am sorry for the inconvenience. Very. Are there any other comments, citizens' comments? If not, can I have a motion for citizens' comments, please? Was that you, Adalia?
Motion.
Second, please. Who was that? John? Thank you, John. All righty.
Hello, everyone. I'm back. I am back. I apologize. The computer went blank. It's fully charged. It just went blank. I'm not sure what's going on. So I utilized my personal computer.
All right. I think we're going to move on at this point, Frank. The community is saying they can't understand anything that's happening. It's preferential to have you submit that information to Mr. Kennedy so it can be in writing and posted on the agenda so there's no misunderstandings what we're discussing. In line with that, Mr. Kennedy, are we set for executive session?
Yes, so what I did was I sent everyone a Google Calendar invite. It's a Google Meet. What you have to do is log off of Zoom and go to Google Meet. And then from Google Meet, we go back into Zoom.
But we need the resolution. Do you have one from a prior agenda, Kathy?
Yes, I do. Hang on. I had the one from December. Yes. Would you like me to read it?
Yeah, because you have to give, what is the reason?
I believe personnel. Personnel, some questions on personnel.
Okay. If you
Alrighty.
can get that resolution into the record, please.
Alrighty, so do I need a motion to add the executive session, Nathania? Yes? Okay, can I have a motion to add executive session to the agenda, please?
Motion.
Who was that?
Miranda.
Thank you. A second, please?
Second.
I'm sorry, who was that?
Dahlia.
Adalia, thank you. Alrighty. Whereas C-231 Public Law 1975, also known as the Sunshine Law, authorizes a public body to meet in executive or private session under certain limited circumstances And whereas said law requires the board to adopt a resolution at a public meeting before it can meet at such, excuse me, in such an executive or private session, now therefore be resolved by the Bogota Board of Education that it does hereby determine it is necessary to meet an executive session on January 5th, 2021 at 8 p.m. to discuss matters involving personnel, that the matter discussed will be made public when confidentiality is no longer required, and action pursuant to said discussion shall take place only at a public meeting. You have a motion to accept? Move.
Motion.
Adalia, second.
Second, John.
John, thank you. All right.
All in
Now we're,
favor?
yes, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you, Irfan. All right, what we're going to do now, everyone, is you need to leave this meeting. You'll see your leave button there. Go back to your Gmail, and you'll see a connection from Mr. Kennedy to come in, to go into executive session. So you need to close this one, go to your email, and open the other meeting. Got it? You see, you look concerned. I see none. I believe we're all here. All right, I believe we're all present. I have a motion to go back into public session, open session.
Motion, Italia.
Thank you. Second, please.
Second.
DC. All right, if there's no other any other discussion or concerns? If not, may I have a motion to adjourn, please?
So moved.
Second? Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you. All right, with any luck, our sound will be a little better next time. And Frank, if you could get that information to Mr. Kennedy that you were trying to add, we're good. So have a good evening, everyone. Happy New Year. We will move forward. God bless. Take care. Stay well.
Good night.
Stay well. Good job, everybody.